So what we got here is two projector lamps, and I'm trying to get an old JVC HD350 up and running, which is the same as the 550 and the 990. Same light housings that they use, and the bulbs were used again in the next series, but in a different light housing. So the original lamps actually come from Philips, and that's the original one I got from the States. That's the original Philips part number, and the legitimate lamps have a marking on them with a Philips part number. Starts with an AM designation. So the original one here, this one doesn't, so it was likely replaced. It has some other kind of marking on it. I don't think this is original, though I could be wrong. The assembly looks a little different. Though the housing's original, from what I can tell, if you look at this side of it, of both housings, one actually shows JVC there. Both are made in China. Everything's made in China. They did a pretty good job copying everything. You copied the whole assembly pretty well, though there's small differences like that and this, you know, both of them are fairly similar, though the plastic itself, it doesn't, this one feels lighter, this one feels a little more stronger. Maybe it's just the material they use, but it has to be very high temperature plastic, because these bulbs run like crazy hot to be able to project the image. So this was like the forte of, you know, the projectors of this day. To get a projector back then, 1080p with, you know, 1,000 or so lumens is like $7,000 or $8,000 US, and that I managed to get one off Marketplace, and it had some issues with the optics and the prisms all dirty. The guy said, "Oh, it just needs a lamp," but I used to work at a service center, and you know, they need more than just a lamp sometimes if they've never been cleaned. I had to clean all the primary prisms and optics on it. That's as far as I went. I didn't dig any deeper into the telephoto lens or the lens assemblies past that part. But this was kind of like a comparison video where I wanted to show, you know, like a couple differences. When you get stuff from China, you're getting something that's not always as claimed. I think you know that. Like, even though it says it's a replacement, it's usually a copy, and it's not always a good copy. I don't know. I can't vouch for this lamp because I'm not going to use it. I already got a known original Philips lamp, which are now out of production, but there's still a lot of them sitting on shelves. And they're used in the next series of JVC's projectors, just on a different housing. So I went on to the German H Cinema forums, and a guy had tested both the Osram and the Philips original lamps, and he said basically in his A/B test that they're pretty much the same, though the Philips had a bit of an edge from what he had described. So though, if you can get the Osram, I called Osram's rep, and they said that they don't make them anymore. And Philips says they don't make them anymore, except for there's a distributor that has all sorts of old stock in China that they claim them to be original and whatnot. But it's important with these to get original equipment. These bulbs, they're built to a very tight standard, and there's a lot that can go wrong. Like where I used to work at a service center, we used to fix these things, and sometimes they would implode, and they damage the primary optic prism, which is this one, here, down here. I know where that goes, don't worry. And this one had the same kind of problem. You won't be able to show it on the lens very well, but it's discolored on this front primary prism. Circular type, and it's also cracked on the side, so it's likely this lamp was replaced. It's the original housing, but someone had replaced that, because the Osram and the Philips usually have stamped markings right on the bulb itself, not stickers like that. So I'm inclined to believe that that's being replaced and they just recycled the housing, which is okay to do. The housing has nothing wrong with it. Another difference I noticed is that this is a high voltage circuit. It comes off a ballast, which creates an impulse to strike an arc and then maintains a steady current and high voltage supply to the lamp to keep it lit. And these are these are high tension or high voltage insulated wires here that when it's running, you would never want to get your hands or fingers in there. It could give you a hell of a shock, probably kill you. Besides that, it gets extremely hot. The nature of these lamps is they burn so hot that the projector needs a lot of forced air cooling. Has a pretty elaborate duct system and a twin fan. I think there's 3 fans actually on it. And to keep the bulbs cool and to keep the ballast cool. Remember, you're talking about a projector that does 1080p. It does it well. It has a throw, like you can throw the picture onto a wall over 100 inches from like 15 feet away kind of thing. So you need a lot of light, and these lamps were the mainstay of projectors back in the day. And like my projector's from 2009, I think it said 2010 on some of the parts that I pulled out of it when I was cleaning it. But now you see a lot of high efficiency LED projectors, which they have their own problems. They're not very easily serviceable. Like these are meant to be serviced. They're meant to be changed out every 2,000 to 3,000 hours, right? If you run it on low lamp mode, you're going to be changing a lamp just under 3,000 hours is the recommended interval. So going back to this, not trying to get rambling and word salads going on, but I got a difference right away when I inspected these assemblies. This might be, it feels like silicone, but it doesn't feel as sturdy or as robust as the original, insulated high voltage wiring. Whether that makes a difference, I don't know. But I'm going to extract the lamps and have a look at the optics. Because really what I want to retain is the actual lens, because my lens is cracked and damaged, and it likely was a byproduct of a failure in the bulb, which is imploded, and then it created like a outgassing, and then like a miniature explosion can damage these things. It's very well known. So if you have any experience with this stuff, you know that when the lamp gets old, or even you use cheap lamps, if you use these kind of lamps, they're prone to premature failure too. So that's another reason why I'm not going with this. I don't even want to put it in the projector at this time. I got the original one there, so I'm just going to swap it out. I'm going to take the good parts, mainly the lens, and put it in the original housing and call it a day. I'll come back to show you if it works or not. Hopefully everything works as expected. It's not a huge job to switch this stuff around, but I don't know if the projector is in good enough shape to drive these bulbs anymore, because the guy said, oh, it just needs a new lamp, but it needed more than that. It needed a lot of cleaning and servicing, internal servicing. I cleaned out all the air ducts. They were jammed up with dust and dirt and stuff. The filter was clogged. So there may be more to the story. And it came from a guy who smoked too, and there was a lot of smoke residue on the lenses. So I did try the projector when I got it from him. It was throwing an image only about 4 feet. He said it was the nature of the lamps when they're worn out. The lamp, I think I looked at the clock on it. They had reset the timer when it was replaced. It had 1,400 hours on it, which makes sense if it was in high output mode. I could change the modes. I could change the menu. I could see the menu. It was, at nighttime I could see it on the wall. I could throw an image a few feet, be able to, change the settings and stuff. So I know the optics were working to some degree, though it was nowhere near where it should be. And these things, especially if you use the replacement lamp, they degrade a lot faster than the originals, which had a lot more tighter manufacturing specifications, and they were actually more robust. That's why you should always go with the originals. And the guys that I got this one from, Projector, I think it was Jaspertronics or something, they have a lot of them in stock. I wanted the exact part number of the original one, the Philips, genuine Philips, and we'll see if it works properly like it's supposed to, because there's no way to test these things without starting with a known good light source. So I'm not even going to dick around with the one they sent me, though I do want to try to keep the lens, and I want to have a good look at the lens to see if it's actually, from what I know about optics, whether it has the same parameters in terms of the light diffusion and the thickness of the glass and certain aspects, in terms of the measurements of the lens. It should fit right in the original housing without having to screw around with it. So anyways, it's kind of like a little journey I've been going through for the last 3 weeks. I've taken my time to clean out the projector and get it ready for this moment. And when I got the housings, I realized, oh yeah, there's lots more. They just remolded these. There's, they copied the text, but not the JVC logo. So they are selling a replacement, but not an original. They copied it. I think probably because, JVC's discontinued this now that they have all their new models out now. So, but I do agree with the seller. These are awesome projectors. If you can get a couple years out of them, they are amazing. The quality of them so good. I don't think you can beat them for, I think $60 plus a new lamp, which is like cost me $33. Plus this one, which is for the housing, and then another $60 for the new lamps. So, if I can get this going for less than $200, it's going to be a pretty sick projector. I know I've seen these before, and they do they compete well with all those shitty little LED projectors you see on Amazon for a couple $100. So I'm going to have a much better projector if I can get it up and running. But I'll come back with another video if I end up getting things going the way the things go. Hopefully they do go well. But there's like little differences with, like the fine, you can tell like these little grates were stamped out different in different machines. These ones are much finer. So you just, and like these rods, they're not molded the same way. The rods that came on these ones are rounded here, so you can tell they use different molds. They copied it. They did their best to model it and copy it the best they could. So I'm never ever gonna believe that this is an original lamp. Has no markings on the glass envelope, which is typical for the Osram and Philips lamps. So be wary. about these lamps: never get oil from your fingers on them. I have a set of cotton gloves that I'm going to use to install it, and I'm going to wash my hands even before I put my cotton gloves on, and I'm going to dry them well, because you can't get grease on these type of lamps, or else it creates hot spots and can cause them to prematurely fail too. So it's the last thing we need. But just wanted to show you guys, kind of, it's not all that meet the eye when you see something online, even though both of them were made in China. Though the copies are not always the same thing mechanically, you know, probably these did not come out of the same mold, the same factory, the same engineer did not design them. So you have to be wary about getting replacement parts on AliExpress, Alibaba, eBay even. Though eBay gives you, if you find counterfeit or stuff not as disclosed, then you can get your money back pretty easily. Though you have to kind of escalate matters. So I'll cut it off here, and then I'll come back to see if anything works after this. I'll make another video showing if the projector works or not. So, but yeah, thanks for watching.